From the New York Post, Bill Maher says Democrats will be effed on Election Day for this reason. And yes, somebody get this guy a late pass. They have been effed for a long time now. It's completely unbelievable. I mean, quite literally, it is unrealistic what has been happening for the past 7 or 8 years now. These people have no choice but to lie, cheat, and steal to maintain power. They cannot come up with an idea that anybody likes, and I don't really know why. If it's in the water or if it's another entity behind the curtain, I don't know what's happening. And there's another story here also from the New York Post about a former Democrat rich lady who has snapped out of it and is selling all of our stuff. We'll get there. And notoriously, Amber Rose quite literally told a reporter, I used to be brainwashed, but I'm not anymore.
I think people see the injustice in what happened, and they want to vote for him more than ever.
I know, I wanted to ask you, so it seems like a lot of celebrities are kind of like voting for Trump now. I mean, why do you think people are kind of like changing their way of like...
I think we just did our research, and we're just, we're not brainwashed anymore by the left. I can say that about myself. All these years I've been brainwashed, and I'm not anymore.
Either way, my name's Eric. This channel is called Report and Opine. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell. I'm absolutely begging you.
I'm begging you, please. Come on, please.
It would help me a lot, and it would cost you nothing. But if you wanted to help me even more and spend some money, you would buy my book, New York City 2020, Gotham Unglued, on Amazon.com. That link will be in the description.
Voters keep saying over and over again, we are not comfortable with this level of immigration. I understand why. It doesn't make you a racist to say that.
Yeah, and here he is talking about voters, and that is nice. And perhaps this is real, right? We've seen a handful of stories of Democrats backtracking on crazy things that don't make sense. So they pushed so far, but nobody likes it, so they can't just say, oh, I mean, we can all see it, right?
Nigga, did you know that I can see you?
So they can't just say, oh yeah, we still want people like us, and we could do whatever we want with these weirdo voting machines and all that stuff, but you can't have millions of angry people on your hands. That's not going to work. So yes, maybe the voters, and I always say, or people tell me, right? People on social media, oh, well, you get what you voted for, which is true. But you can't really vote your way out of this. I didn't think so. But maybe you could. Maybe I'm a little bit hopeful. Maybe I'm finding the silver lining once again. Maybe this is glass half full, that people are going to vote their way out of this and tell these guys, these weirdo, not Bill Maher, I mean, Bill Maher is a weirdo, corrupt Hollywood shill hack, but the political thugs to kick rocks.
And yet, the liberal parts of, certainly in America, Alex Padilla said last week, he is our senator here, by reviving Trump's asylum ban, Biden has undermined American values. And then they all stand back and go, we don't want to be called a racist, so we will not make a move on immigration.
Yeah, see, like those type of things, that's not even remotely real. I mean, can you get into a position of political power and be so far out of touch? Or are you just completely evil trying to push the agenda? They say, real-time host Bill Maher continued offering his dire warning to Democrats on the issue of immigration. Again, you can't conflate immigration and illegal immigrants, right? Those are two completely different things. But I guess they're just going to keep saying it in hopes of making you believe it. Okay. Offered his dire warning to Democrats on the issue of immigration, insisting they'll be effed in November following this week's European election results. Voters in Europe, particularly in Germany and France, roundly rejected far-left policies in the European Union Parliament elections, where immigration was top of mind as the crisis has unfolded in recent years. And, I mean, call me crazy. Am I the crazy person? I'm the conspiracy theorist for realizing that, okay, this is happening in Europe and it's happening here. And do we think it's all authentic? It's not astroturfed by something or someone behind the curtain, and I don't know exactly who it is or what the hell's going on, but there's no way this is authentic. Voters again for the European Parliament said, we do not like this much immigration, Maher said. The HBO star then quoted The Atlantic's David Frum, who warned if liberals insist that enforcing borders is a job only fascists will do, then voters will hire fascists to do what liberals won't. Voters keep saying over and over again, we are not comfortable with this much immigration. Yeah, that's the part that they played. He then took a dig at Democratic California Senator Alex Padilla. Okay, so it sounds like they're just recapping what he said in that clip. And yeah, of course, we can't pretend this is new. I mean, I'm not ahead of the curve by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not breaking stories. I'm not down at the border filming people breaking in. All you have to do is pay a tiny bit of attention and you will quickly realize you've gone too far. You've overplayed the hand. And now we're at a point where it is only a matter of if we quite literally live under a communist regime and they're going to take power no matter what, or is it too big to rig? Once again, from the New York Post, further proof that people are continuing to snap out of it, right? The laundry list of rappers, as long they've gone as far as to get tattoos. I've known people personally who were like, yeah, you know what? I was wrong about that. But guess what? The Democratic Party will never do that. I mean, they might, issue some press release parroting Trump talking points, but deny that's even the case, right? We see recently with the border, we're gonna get tough on the border and you won't be able to seek asylum unless you come through it. Okay, bro. I guess, is that what your internal polling is telling you? Are you that desperate that now you have to backtrack on basically letting everybody in, even though it's already too late? But that's beside the point. This lady, former Obama fundraiser, is so fed up with the left that she's selling her $1 million Democrat collectibles. Allison Hune bought into Silicon Valley's woke idealism. The co-creator of Willow Garage, never heard of it, a company that designed robotics and AI systems that were sold to Google, Hune helped raise millions of dollars for Barack Obama's 2008 presidential campaign. And let's make no mistake, I don't really care for Barack Obama, but that was a completely different Democratic Party. Now, I was a completely different person too, but bro, they didn't start talking about this weirdo transformer agenda until at least 2011. And shoving it down people's throats in 2014. Those are just guesses. But the point is, right, in 2020, you had 19 Democrats on stage saying that they were going to give free health care to illegals.
This is a show of hands question, and hold them up for a moment so people can see. Raise your hand if your government plan would provide coverage for undocumented immigrants.
And make sure that transformers were able to get abortions.
I don't believe only in reproductive freedom. I believe in reproductive justice. And what that means is that just because a woman, or let's also not forget someone in the trans community, a trans female, is poor, doesn't mean they shouldn't have the right to exercise that right to choose.
That wasn't happening in 2008, I should say. She and her husband at the time, early Google programmer Scott Hassan, helped organize elaborate fundraisers and dinners for tech bigwigs. My role was to bring in Silicon Valley people for $50,000 and $100,000 per plate dinners. We brought in Sergey Brin, Larry Page, Eric Schmidt. Obama was a hopeful candidate who was outside the system. She was so passionate about the left in 2005, she and Hassan bought a rocking chair that once belonged to Democratic icon John F. Kennedy for nearly $100,000 at auction. In 2008, she acquired the Shepard Fairey mixed media artwork that the iconic Obama Hope posters were based on, paying more than $1 million for the work on canvas, which is obviously, I didn't realize at the time, but it's quite clear now, it was literally just communist propaganda. Now, as President Biden's term draws to a close, Hune feels that she has been sold a bill of goods. I think that Biden has been out of touch. Yeah, of course, that's putting it nicely. So better late than pregnant, as they say. But this lady and Bill Maher, they're finally snapping out of it. And I can't pretend that I've known the whole time, but it was pretty clear. Even at the beginning of Trump's presidency, it was obvious. This guy was on TV for more than 10 years. And now you're claiming he's racist. They're throwing everything at him and nothing will stick. It was very easy to tell, early on, unless you were so deep in the cult and you have been brainwashed, which they quite literally admit to. Well, Amber Rose admits to now. Exasperated by violent crime and illicit drug use in California, the 48-year-old Vietnamese immigrant, now this is probably an actual immigrant, not a criminal illegal migrant who slept in the Darien Gap for 2 months, who helped build some of the world's first e-commerce websites and once lived down the street from Steve Jobs in Silicon Valley, has done a total 180 when it comes to her politics. And this is what they're trying to sell you. So this is actually great, right? This lady, who is a Vietnamese immigrant who helped build all this technology and is a millionaire, billionaire, whatever, has a whole family now. That's what they want you to believe is happening when these people hop over the fence, right? Oh, they're all nurses and engineers, right? Oh, we need to give them everything and they're going to make a better life. They're going to learn the code. That's what they want you to think, but that's obviously not the case. We can see it with our own two eyes. No longer identifying as a left-leaning Democrat, she calls herself an independent, and she's vocally backing Donald Trump. She recently traveled from her home in Palo Alto to Florida to show support for the former president at a fundraiser at Mar-a-Lago. Well, she didn't go. I mean, would have been much easier for her to go from Silicon Valley to Southern California to support Beau Biden and give him a couple $100,000, but she didn't do it. I was surprised when I met Donald Trump, Hune, who was working on a Silicon Valley memoir entitled Beyond Good and Evil Recalled. He was light and funny and intelligent. The people there were down to earth. And this is the same thing happening with the Dr. Phil interview, and people are snapping out of it. I mean, I've seen it personally with the young girl at Shake Shack in San Francisco who's trying to keep it from her coworkers but tell me that she actually likes Donald Trump. And of course, for the millionth time, Amber Rose, who is not the most amazing person on the planet, but she's just saying quite truthfully, we were brainwashed, but we're not anymore. Same thing with Drea De Matteo, Adriana LaServa from The Sopranos, who is also not an amazing person, right? She's on OnlyFans, actually kind of disgusting. But she was like, yeah, I did this just because I was caught up in the emotion. They are being honest about it. And I'm sure that the Democratic Party would actually hate them even more just for telling the truth. Because that's like kryptonite to them. They can't stand the truth. And look, here's Shepard Fairey, bro. I guess so. I mean, he's a weirdo, right? Obey, right? He was so weird that this guy, putting up posters all over the place, completely illegal, anti-establishment guy, going to bat for the Democratic Party. But the caption here says, Shepard Fairey did a painting on which the famous Hope poster is based. Alison Hune owns the painting. Okay. I was happy with how knowledgeable Trump is about what's going on with the country and the economy. He had the information. Yeah, I mean, that's true, but the bar is really low when you got a guy who can't even put together a sentence, and all he wants to talk about is Chaka Chip and how everything is racist. His kids are well educated, fighting crime, immigration, and business, continued Hune, who has two daughters, aged 21 and 18. The lefty collectibles are poised to go the way of Obama. She is currently shopping the JFK chair and Shepard Fairey Hope piece around with a 7-figure price all in. So, yeah, I guess so. I don't know who's going to buy it, right? You were the market for it 15 years ago, but do you think some weirdo lefty, I guess maybe Jack Black or some of the other Hollywood lefties who donated to Beau Biden are now going to buy some of this memorabilia? I am cleaning house, said Hune, a lifelong liberal and Democrat, but when things don't serve us in this moment, it's best to let other people enjoy the items. They don't have much meaning for me right now. And the list is long, right? We just saw some other weirdo tech billionaire throw a fundraiser for Trump in San Francisco. So I don't know who the market for this is, but there's a market for everything, as I'm told. Where she does find meaning are in elected representatives who promote law and order, low taxes, control at the border. I support politicians like Trump and Abe Hamadeh, she said, name-checking the Republican who ran for Attorney General in 2022. But oh no, he lost because Arizona is big blue state and they love Governor Katie Hobbs and Attorney General Chris Mays, right? That's all completely fake. We need elected officials with policies that make our cities safer. Hune continued, we need police to support those laws. And this is all well and good, right? I mean, it's all common sense stuff. But we're long past the point of just doing things that work for people. Especially now when you have the lefty contingent that used to like Bojiden and the left-wing establishment. They don't anymore because of this Israel-Palestine stuff. So who's actually left? What? A couple hundred people that literally work for the mainstream media? I don't think anybody could go to bat for any of these policies without being totally brainwashed. And it's a matter of framing the question, right? Or framing the conversation, because you can't name drop, you can't say Democrat, Republican, because they're going to get triggered and their brain's not going to work. But if you start describing situations, they would obviously have no choice but to agree with what actually makes sense. Hune sees San Francisco, where she owns property and once lived full-time, as a failed science experiment for super leftist ideas and ideals. Its descent into lawless chaos in recent years spurred her move to the right. Yeah, and she's not the only one. I can guarantee that. We are allowing heroin addicts to shoot up in public. Yeah, these are things we all know, right? So it's no secret. So these two stories, I guess, deserve a late pass, right? Bill Maher is always completely late. I don't know, whatever. He's like 80 years old, constantly smoking weed on the show, so maybe he's not really paying attention. But it just doesn't take that much, right? It's only a weird group of mainstream media propagandists pretending these things make sense. Nobody in real life, not the hard leftists, not the college kids, either they're not paying attention or they hate Bojiden because they've been brainwashed by some war on the other side of the world, or like what I believe to be most people, you can just make common sense. And that's what they're doing, and a little bit late, but better than not at all.